Dominic Cummings had another opportunity to check his eyesight this morning as he looked for the car that was taking him to Downing Street. He still has a job there thanks to the Prime Minister, and although Durham Police said Mr Cummings might have broken the law, they also gave the Prime Minister just enough cover to keep his advisor in place.
Good evening. What I also noticed that the Durham Police said was that they were going to take no action and that the matter was closed, and I intend to draw a line under the matter.
He then tried to prevent questions on it to his chief medical and scientific officers.
That I'm going to interpose myself, if I may, and protect them from what I think would be an unfair and unnecessary attempt to ask a political question.
Just to be clear, I don't think this is a wholly political question, Prime Minister. I think it's perfectly reasonable to ask Sir Patrick and Chris Whitty whether they fear that compliance with these rules will be reduced as a result of this.
But when they did speak, they seemed to agree it was political.
I can assure you that the desire not to get pulled into politics is far stronger on the part of Sir Patrick and me than it is in the Prime Minister.
I've got nothing to add. I mean, I'm a civil servant, I'm politically neutral, I don't want to get involved in politics at all.
What the police said today was that they didn't think Mr Cummings had committed an offence by taking his family to Durham when his wife was ill with coronavirus. But on the drive to Barnard Castle, Mr Cummings said he later took to test whether or not he was fit to drive, Durham Constabulary said they have concluded that there might have been a minor breach of the regulations that would have warranted police intervention. Durham Constabulary view this as minor because there was no apparent breach of social distancing. They added that had an officer found him there, they would have advised him to go back to Durham. So Boris Johnson appears to have won his battle to keep Dominic Cummings in his job. Although it has annoyed a number of Tory MPs, they'll no doubt get over it. A bigger problem for the Prime Minister is the substantial proportion of the electorate who've been really angered by all this and who will be reminded of it again and again for as long as Dominic Cummings works here. And that could matter in places like, well, Barnard Castle, which is in one of those constituencies the Tories have just won for the first time.
It's really disappointing that they're not going to do anything, and I don't see why it has to be one rule for him and one rule for everybody else.
He's above the rest of us. It upsets me that much that he's got away with it.
I think it's appalling. I really do. He should have gone.
It all presents an easy target for opposition parties.
I think the Prime Minister has been weak throughout the Dominic Cummings saga. He should have acted quickly. If I'd been Prime Minister, I'd have sacked Dominic Cummings.
And so the fate of the man who is Prime Minister, tonight joining in the final clap for carers, seems tied ever more closely to that of his controversial chief advisor. Carl Dinning, News at 10, Westminster.